The number one most important aspect of any campaign that you create with MintsApp, where you're going for customer engagement, is the actual content of your poll. This one factor can ultimately decide whether or not your entire campaign works. So I would highly recommend that you put a lot of extra focus into this particular part of it. That is ultimately, what is your poll about? What question are you asking people? What choices are you trying to get them to choose from or select? And ultimately, how does this connect to the next step? And that next step should be something that helps with the goals of your Amazon site. It could be lead generation, it could be more exposure on social media, it could be sending more traffic directly to Amazon affiliate links. Regardless though, what you actually ask the person can make or break the success of your campaign. Just to give you an example that you have seen from me already, how many hours do you sleep each night? This particular question is a very straightforward question. It's something that applies to anybody that visits my website. If my website has anything to do with sleeping or bedding products, this would be a really good question to be presenting to people. This also has the ability to lead to other stuff. How many hours do you sleep each night? Depending on what people select, there's all kinds of stuff you could try to do with this. You could try to offer them free guides to learn better sleeping habits. You could try to promote specific sleeping products to them to help them get a better night's sleep. There are all kinds of ways that you could easily connect that while still adding value. So your initial question that you're asking people should not be geared towards trying to specifically sell a product in most cases. Instead, you want to be looking for questions that are going to draw people in. Questions that people feel like they have to answer. Other things that can be useful is using questions that are kind of loaded in a way. Essentially, if you ask a question that you already know the answer to, or the correct answer to, then you can easily lead that into other situations based upon that specific answer. You could just have some kind of simple trivia question relating to your niche that you feel like everybody with even vague general knowledge of your niche should know the answer to it, but it could be about something really popular that they would be drawn to show off that answer that they have. Questions like that can drive much, much higher rates of engagement. A couple of other types of questions, just to give you some suggestions besides things like loaded questions. Think about questions that indicate somebody is interested in a product you're promoting. Let's take, for example, cell phones. Pretty much anybody that has a smartphone or is interested in buying a new smartphone, they usually have some kind of a brand or operating system preference. One of the biggest parts of that is kind of the battle between the Apple products and everything else. So you could just ask a simple question such as, what do you love the most? You know, what kind of phone do you love the most? It could be an iPhone, or it could be an Android phone, for example. Questions like that, very simple, straightforward questions, will help to draw people in. Based on their responses, you could even group people into different categories. For example, you could do an email lead generation campaign where, based on whether they respond that they like Apple or Android, you could put them on separate newsletter lists. And then the products and other things that you would promote to those people could be dependent upon their preferred type of phone. This also leads me to the next part, which is questions that give you knowledge about your visitor that can increase your chances of a sale or a lead. When there are things that are unknown about somebody that's visiting your site, whatever your niche is about, you already kind of know, okay, they have some kind of an interest in this niche, but there could be a number of different subgroups of people within all those people that visit your website. And if you knew which one of those groups you could kind of place them into, you might be able to sell things to them a lot more accurately with a much, much higher chance of success. The Apple and Android example that I just provided you with is a really great example of this too. Because by being able to group them into one of those categories, if you were running a site about smartphones, a site where maybe you promoted apps for smartphones, smartphone plans with maybe Amazon, they do a lot of that kind of stuff, wireless plans. In a situation like this, it is worth its weight in gold to be able to classify somebody so specifically to know the range or the types of products that you could promote to them and have a much higher chance of success. With the smartphone industry, there's that very clear dividing line where if you have an Apple phone or you're interested in Apple phones, there's going to be a set selection of stuff that could potentially be sold to you. All that Android stuff isn't even a possibility for the Apple people. And so when you don't know that information, you can waste a lot of your time and promotional efforts. But when you can classify people and then maybe direct them along to the proper types of content that you know they're going to be more inclined to be interested in, you get much better results in the end. And these polling questions can help you to do that. Another kind of question is a question where any answer could lead to the same result. For example, using my sleeping examples here again, I could present some kind of a question about people's sleeping habits. Do you do any of these before you go to sleep? Watch TV within an hour of going to bed, or eat food, or play on your smartphone laying in bed. Other things of that nature. Pretty much any answer that somebody selected, as long as you carefully formulated that question and the choices, you could determine that any choice there would lead you to the same conclusion. They have bad sleeping habits. And then you can direct people along to try to resolve that problem while also still accomplishing the goals you're trying to accomplish with your Amazon site. So, simple example here, asking people to declare any of these habits that they might have within an hour of going to bed. If they click on any of them, they could be a bad sleeping habit. So then you could recommend a sleeping habits guide to the person in the post action, and that would simply say, hey, give us your email address, we'll send you this free sleeping habits guide to help you with these problems. And then that sleeping habits guide could address each of the different problems that was a choice in that question, and maybe even have some other tips and recommendations to go along with it. Doing something like this, you're going to generate a lot of leads. The more traffic you can put across that question, the more you'll end up generating. And then you can use those leads to promote specific products on your website, and that can then forward people along to Amazon affiliate links. You just simply embed them on those pages that you promote through your email newsletter. That is one thing worth mentioning. If you're using email newsletters to try to promote Amazon products, set up a page on your website about that Amazon product. Put your Amazon affiliate link on that page and then promote that page on your website. Do not promote Amazon affiliate links within emails. This is specifically prohibited by the Amazon affiliate agreement. However, you can promote your own website through emails, and then your website can promote the Amazon product. That is the proper way to go about turning an email lead into an Amazon sale. The big obvious difference there, if you are doing lead generation as opposed to just direct sales, is that you have a way to be able to contact them again in the future. You're building up your customer base. So over the course of a couple of years, if you build up thousands of leads, you could send out an email and instantly drive hundreds of people in a single day to your website to go and look at an offer. So when there are certain things like Amazon's daily deals, or when the holidays come around and they're running all these lightning deals and special promotions and stuff like that, if you have an email list to use, you can actually take major advantage of some of those very time-sensitive deals and get some incredible conversion rates, but only if you're doing lead generation again. One other kind of question that I wanted to recommend to you is something that is not necessarily designed to get you an instant benefit as far as trying to lead people into a sale or something of that nature. It could still be used for lead generation though. What I'm talking about is basically a true customer poll. If you're unsure of what your readers would really like to see on your website, you can poll them about it. If you're unsure of what people actually prefer within a niche or an industry, you can poll them about it. You can even set up your post action on one of these polls to encourage the person to maybe join an email newsletter of yours to encourage future interaction with them. Hey, thank you for taking the time to give us your opinions on our website. We would love for you to join our newsletter so we can notify you of new changes and new content that we post in the future. that can hopefully reflect your suggestions. People would be very inclined to try to join something like that if they felt like it might show them whether or not their suggestions were really taken to heart and actually went into play. So you can do things like that to simply raise the value of your website, to build more trust in your website. You could also do very straightforward stuff, such as product reviews, where you have a page promoting a product on Amazon, and you could ask people to rate the product. There is a certain angle of that which is appealing to me, in that if you have a product page on a website, let's say you have a website that reviews a bunch of different Amazon products in a certain category. Those pages then directly promote those products using an Amazon affiliate link. However, if you get traffic that comes in directly to those pages off of, say, a Google search, you never really know whether the people that have landed on your website are interested in buying that product, or if they got there through some kind of a search that somebody would make after they already own the product. So you could set up one of these rating polls on your product review pages designed to target the people that already own the product. I think this is pretty big because your Amazon ad is already targeting the people that don't own the product. That gives you a way to monetize that kind of traffic. But typically, Amazon affiliate sites end up wasting the traffic on their site that already owns the products that they're promoting. But a ratings poll for a product that you're promoting could easily give you a way to ask the people what they think about the product if they already own it. Then you could direct them along to accessories for the product or other things that you know would come after the sale instead of before the sale. So you have two different sides of marketing a product like that. You have the people that don't own it and want to buy it. That's what your Amazon ad is for. But then you have the people that already own it and are looking for what comes next. What else can I do with this? What other accessories and things could I purchase to go along with it? So when somebody submits a rating on a product, then they can simply be forwarded along to maybe an accessories page for people that already own that particular product. So for example, let's say I'm promoting the Kindle Fire. I could say, do you own a Kindle Fire? Tell us what you think. And then I could go to Google. I could find an image of the Kindle Fire. I'm going to go for the wider one. I'm looking at the dimensions here in the bottom left-hand corner when I hover. I'm looking for one that has larger dimensions. This one right here is only 206 by 130. That's pretty small. I want this to be a background image, but this one is really large. This one's 5,000 by 4,000. I think if I put something that big in, it's going to force me to select just part of it to show. So I'm kind of looking for something with a size right in between. This one's 624 by 351. I think this should work out pretty good. So I'm going to go and view the image, and I'm going to save this image to my computer. Now I'm going to go back and insert this into my ad. So now that I have this plugged into my little rating poll here, I have my question side of it essentially completed. I now have my post action, my post vote action. My post vote action here could really kind of depend on how I wanted to approach something like this. I could auto redirect to a URL. I could request for them to opt in. I think, though, the best option to use with something like this would really be to display a banner. You just have to think about what is going to not present a roadblock for somebody to get to what it is that you want them to get to. You don't want to trick them, but you also don't want to put obstacles, big obstacles in their way either. So for something like where they have just rated the product, and we can then assume that they are an owner of that product, then I could choose to go back in and set up a display banner that would say something like, "Thanks for rating. Take a look at some great accessories that we have for the Kindle Fire." So I can say view Kindle accessories, and right here, my URL, this would simply be another page on my own website. So I'm just moving people along to the right area. This is essentially using a poll or a rating as a funnel to take people that would be better off on a different page of your website based on them simply voting on the poll or based on a certain choice that they make in the poll. And then you can handle that kind of action to get people to where you want them to be on your website. So the current Kindle owners, you would want them to be on the accessories page, whereas the people that don't own the Kindle, you would want them to actually be on that review page for the Kindle itself. So now once I have all of this set up, I have my Kindle image, I have thanks for rating, I have my actual questions set up as far as polling the people that own the Kindle Fire, so I'm specifically targeting a certain group of people that I believe would be on this page. I can then go ahead and save it, and it'll let me take a look at it. So people that own a Kindle Fire, they can just come along here and rate it however many stars they want to. Thanks for rating. Take a look at some of the great accessories we have. Clicking on here would then forward them along to the accessories page on my website. And then this would help to keep tally of votes that have been placed, so people could actually see the ratings of others that actually own the fire. So this, again, has a dual benefit to putting something like this on a product review page. So really, no matter what you're trying to do with your Amazon sites, you should be able to accomplish and help to enhance those things using MintsApp. But I would highly recommend for you to just stop and think about it for a minute before you rush into it. Ask yourself, what different kinds of people might I have on my website or on this particular page? Are there different groups in there that would be better off sent to a certain area of my website or shown a particular product on my website? Are there situations that I might be able to take advantage of lead generation there? Depending on what the niche is, what very obvious, straightforward, or appealing questions I might be able to put out there for people to answer. So take all of this stuff into account and try to plan your approach so you can visualize all this before you put it into action. You'll know exactly what you're going to be creating before you actually go into MintsApp and start creating all these campaigns and loading them up on your website. Doing something like this, putting a little bit of extra effort like that into the content of your polls will help you to get much, much better results from using this software. In the future classes, I'm going to be going a little more into detail about more specific types of campaigns that you could carry out using MintsApp, especially geared towards Amazon affiliates.